the other news that we got, was it yesterday or the day before that we got the news about the double endorsement? Was that yesterday as well?
I believe that was 2 days ago.
Was it? Was it 2 days ago, Becky?
It
2 days ago?
was 2 days ago, yeah.
So President Trump coming out and he's saying, both really great. Can't wait to endorse both Karrin Taylor Robson and Andy Biggs.
This after he already endorsed Robson.
Yes.
And said, hey, Karrin, I think you're pretty great. If you're going to run, I think a lot of people are going to vote for you.
And then Andy Biggs says, I'm running for office, and he's going to give me his endorsement. So Trump puts out this statement that says, when Andy Biggs decided to run for governor, quite unexpectedly, I had a problem. 2 fantastic candidates, 2 terrific people, 2 wonderful champions. But I solved the problem just like King Solomon. I cut the baby in half.
Well, and he's done this before in Arizona, too.
Yes.
With Abe Hamadeh and Blake Masters both running for Congress. Is that the 9th district, the one that used to be...
I think so.
Oh, gosh, why am I blanking on her name? She's in local office now.
Lesko?
Debbie Lesko. Yeah.
He's done this before, like you said. It was Hamadeh and
Masters.
Masters, excuse me, yeah. And then I think he did this in Missouri one time when he was like 2 guys with the same name, like Eric or something. Like, Eric's going to be great.
I got a kid named Eric? How would you not vote for a guy named Eric? You can't pick between the 2.
But can't you?
No.
I mean, why not?
Well, come on. He liked Debbie. You've got one of each gender. I mean,
Karrin Taylor Robson and Andy Biggs.
Yeah, you got to cover all your bases here.
I just laugh at it because it's like the Trumpiest thing to do, where he will win.
Well,
for a while, people remember when he was endorsing people in like 2018.
He will win through the primary.
But he was endorsing people in 2018. And then they were keeping track of who he endorsed and how they did.
Yeah, they didn't. The Trump endorsement kind of was a...
It's a bit of an iffy.
This is definitely not a 100% success rate.
No. And then the other question is, too, if you endorse the Republican in Kentucky and they win, is that a surprise, right? Although I think Andy Beshear won. I think he's a Democrat. But for you get my point, right?
We have the debate every few years of what do endorsements really matter?
Yeah. And I'm always told they do matter. People always say, no, they definitely matter. And I think when it comes to Trump, it matters more than it matters for other candidates. For instance, if Kamala Harris were to endorse a Democratic candidate for the 5th district where Jay Feely is running, are people going to be like, well, that's a former presidential candidate, former vice president that just gave her stamp of approval on that person?
No, that's a really red district. That doesn't mean
it doesn't
squat.
Swing anything. Right. So I think that the composition of the district and their political, I don't want to say prejudices, but let's say their political standing ideology plays a bigger role. But I do think it matters a bit in the primaries, and it definitely matters in the primaries when it comes to Trump. So if you have 2 candidates running for the same seat in the primaries and he endorses both of them, how is the voter supposed to differentiate which one? For instance, let's say that you are a MAGA voter. Which one do you take? And if you are not a MAGA voter, which one do you take?
Yeah, do you say, well, he endorsed Robson first, so he likes her more?
Which she'll say, of course.
Or do you say, well, Biggs wasn't in when he endorsed Robson, so he really is endorsing Biggs because with Robson in, he still endorsed Biggs.
Which one of those 2 do you think is more MAGA? I don't mean to sound condescending as I'm saying this either, but which one do you think is more in line with Trump? President Trump's policies? Yeah,
I would say Biggs.
Why?
Leans further to the right. Why do I say that? It's a gut feeling that, based on voting record, votes with the president. But it's tough to say because Robson isn't in office, so...
So I agree with you.
Yeah. Why would you say?
Because he's been in that Freedom Caucus. He's been a thorn in the side of the mainstream Republicans for a very long time. He's always been a backer of whatever President Trump says. Even when it's been controversial, Biggs has come out in support of President Trump. I think Biggs has hung his reputation on President Trump, and for better or for worse. And right now it's working out really well for him, right? So when it comes to Robson, she didn't get Trump's endorsement the last time around. She always positioned herself as not Carrie Lake. Remember that. She positioned herself as she's not a moderate Republican, but she, let's say, more traditional conservative. Let's say that, okay? And it's almost a dirty word to say a traditional conservative. It's become a badge of disgrace, a scarlet letter, a scarlet C if you are a Ducey type Republican or a Brewer type Republican, right? Which is bizarre to me, but that's the world we're in right now. Biggs has worked harder to shed that sort of conservatism. He's worked harder to be the more MAGA type conservative, the Freedom Caucus conservative, and I think his track record shows that. Robson doesn't have that track record. So I think that's what she is up against.
And do you think that's reality, or is that just...
Well, that's my perception anyway.
Well, is that just what we think because the loudest voice in the room these days seems to galvanize more of the support? And the Andy Biggs of the world, who seem to be more aligned with Trump, seem to be the louder voice for the most part.
Yeah,
like,
I think
is
so.
the more traditional conservative, is that really a dirty word, or is it just that was kind of an old word? That's how it used to be.
Well, I think if you take a look at the composition of Congress right now, you would have to agree that the move to the MAGA right, which is farther right on some issues and further left on others, is definitely it's in control. It's driving the bus right now.
What's so tough for me, and I wonder this with Biggs too, Chris, is what does he really stand for? I think Biggs really does stand with Trump, but so many Republicans now, I question if they are more of that traditional conservative, or they know to get reelected, to stay in office, they need to play this game to come off more MAGA-y, which I don't mean as an insult.
Taylor Robson is doing that?
I definitely think Taylor Robson was leaning into the Trump endorsement a little bit, and I do think she's more traditional conservative.
It's too early to tell right now if any blue wave is going to happen in 2026, right? Or how big it might be. But history would tell us there's likely to be a blue wave. The minority party tends to do very well in the midterm election after the president of the other side. So depending on how this current administration handles things in the next 18 months, and we're already talking about, remember when we just got done with the election, we went, woo, thank goodness that's over with. It was, what, 6 months ago? And
Another one will be here before we know it.
Oh, my gosh. So it's possible, depending on whatever happens with this administration, Hobbs might repeat simply because she might end up against another extremist candidate. And I know that there's a lot of the GOP, I'm going to say traditionalists, but I think there's probably some MAGA, if they're being honest, that would tell you Lake didn't do very well. How much better is Biggs going to do? And so I think there's a concern that Hobbs, who everyone on the right dislikes Katie Hobbs, right? I haven't met anybody on the right that's like, she's not that bad, right? Yeah, she's a Democrat. I disagree with her, but as Democrats go, she's not that bad. The people on the right go, I can't stand her. She's destroying our state. She's open border. I mean, she loves fentanyl, right? They'll all say whatever kind of cockamamie stuff.
You're talking the far right then.
I think a lot of people on the right say
I think most, I agree.
She's terrible. She's horrible. They talk about her
There's
the way...
no backbone.
They talk about her the way you talk about...
oh, boy.
Mark Kelly.
So that is not... Oh, come on. Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
But I think that this double endorsement by Trump for Karrin Taylor Robson and Andy Biggs for the same position as the Republican candidate for governor... I think it could be a good thing for Karrin Taylor Robson.
Oh.
A lot of people are saying, no, this is a bad thing for her. This is going to peel votes off. This is terrible. I think it could be good.
Thanks for watching The Chris and Joe Show. Click to see more from Chris and Joe and tap the button in the middle to subscribe to KTAR News.